Suresh Soundararajan, state and local leader with SAIC. Basically, the procurement and technology alignment, it's more around a culture and a speed mismatch, right? So typically the procurement, it's all about stability and compliance, whereas technology in most recent days, it's more about rapid iteration and quick deployments and stuff like that. So there is a natural friction between the two. Procurement, it's natural. It's not like, it's both are necessary in a way to innovate and move forward. The way to kind of navigate that around is to plug in early, right? Both the technology teams and the procurement teams, and kind of educate each other much early, and leverage technology, advanced technology as much as possible to reduce that friction. Friction is natural because of the function-wise. It both has its purpose. As I said, like technology, that's one thing we do at SAIC, trying to work with the procurement office and to kind of leverage the expertise and help them navigate that smoothly. So it's critical role. We all know that in government, that too, procurement plays a huge role. But I think it's a shift in strategy. Like, how do you be merely being a technical specification entity? How do you become a strategic enabler, right? So procurement kind of has to be that strategic enabler to make a function efficient and faster and smooth. So that's kind of the role I see it. And then Alliance for Advancing Rural Healthcare, the way we did that to make procurement easier, actually in a way, we kind of combined a lot of turnkey solutions, right? We made it easier. That way procurement becomes much faster. We stand with them to say, hey, instead of going for X, Y, Z, right? Don't go for this multiple things, but there is a turnkey solution where the Alliance can bring. So this is kind of the help to make that process smoother and faster. Yeah, you're kind of looking at, if I'm an external partner, I'm kind of looking at as a force multiplier, right? That's what you want. Going in, you're looking for a trusted partner, looking at what type of innovative solutions that you can bring to the table that makes that process much faster. So if I'm the procurement officer, I'm looking for somebody, I know my process very well, but I know the gaps as well, who can kind of address the gaps, what can make it faster. One of the things we are working with other states and entities in the federal space as well. One of it is to kind of help with the procurement process through AI, right? How can AI help expediting some of this routine regulations, policies, right? Where we can answer those questions much faster, and also can give it to the procurement team. We can do the 80% of analysis up front to say, hey, the risks, rewards, whatever that may be, right? Whatever you specify, we can help that. And then the procurement folks can strictly focus on the procurement aspect of, okay, now we have the basic analysis done, and then they move on to actually doing the real procurement piece of it. So kind of enabling them a little bit, right? If the private entity, private partners, vendors, kind of going and enabling and making it efficient and faster. Without going into specifics of the agency names, but in the federal agency space, right, we have modernized an entire all their systems, right? Modernized, whether it's a cloud modernization where we infuse AI in between, right? And then also, so the goal of that kind of modernization effort is you actually have to closely work with the procurement, right? Showing them the art of possibility. That's what we did, right? During the modernization, we show them the art of possibility, what's possible, whether it's cloud or whether it's the job, to make it successful for both the agency as well as the vendors in a way, right? The success enablement is what it is, right? At the same time, there is a mission. Because SAIC is big with mission integration. That's the biggest thing, right? We work with any partners, all partners, we work with the agencies to make the mission of the agency successful. So ultimately, your procurement, everything has to be driven by that mission. That's the mission is the only one that drives everything. So aligning with that mission and like modernizing what we are actually worked completely modernizing, whether it's a cloud migration, whether it's an AI infusement, all of that. We work with the agencies, kind of giving them a path on the procurement along the way to say, hey, we can do defining phases, right? And also helping them understand that it's not that we're not going to leave you alone, we're going to train you, right? It all matters. Like it's the goal is basically when you leave that place, the goal is to have enabled the agency capacity to have increased because we were present there. So when we modernize, that should be the goal, right? Like not for us to be we would love that, like to be their partners all the time. But the goal is even the procurement goal. That's why like we kind of help people think about outcomes, right? These are the outcomes you're trying to achieve when you're modernizing, because a lot of times instead of technical specifications, if you go into outcome-driven procurement a little bit, right? That's what we try to help. When we modernize, we kind of tell them, hey, these are the outcomes you need to be looking at. These are the outcomes. So your procurement becomes a little bit different, right? Rather than just a technical spec, you're trying to achieve an outcome. And in turn, when we leave there, we want to make sure that agency has the capacity that they needed to be sustained, self-sustained. The pace of technology, and it's always like, we have this, at SAIC, we tell this all the time, business drives innovation, right? Ideas are just ideas until it's actually put to execution and use, right? In a way, if you think about it. So the business drives any innovation that you do. So there has to be a use case currently, or there has to be a use case in the future that you can map to, right? You cannot solve today's problems with today's technology, right? You have to solve a future problem with today's technology and kind of thinking, how do you get there? So the way we work with the agencies, or like I recently had conversations with somebody, right? So they had a requirement. So, and then like my question to them was, is this a requirement for today? Or is this how you see it 2 years from now? So that's a very important question to ask the customers, right? What do you see your trend? What do you see your thing? Is this population, like whatever you're saying about this, is this trend going to continue, or do you see a decrease in? So that kind of dictates it, right? Like, so you don't go with it. So that tells you I need a higher capacity today versus tomorrow, kind of like, making them think. So when we talk about mission, you have to understand what it is. Are you solving, like if it's you talk about a crisis, health crisis that's existing today, it could be a temporary fix. But for that, you cannot be, you have to understand what's temporary versus what's there to stay. So that is the thing. Those are the good conversations you have with the agencies to understand what truly the mission of your agency is. Are you solving a problem that's temporary, or is it like you're thinking of a roadmap? Roadmap is very critical, right? Like whatever you're modernizing, whatever you're helping with agencies, thinking about that roadmap becomes super critical. So that's one thing we do. SAIC, we kind of, when we talk to the customers, that's something we try to understand right away. Like, where do you see the mission going, right? Is it today's problems are important that you have to solve, but also kind of looking at your roadmap and your journey of where do you want to be, what the outcome has to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So that's kind of the approach we do when we do innovation, actually. I think the understanding of what the journey looks like, right? It is like the short-term transformations are critical, right? Mostly like, and there is also a lot like confusion between modernization and transformation, right? So typically modernizations are short-term. That means you're already behind, you're catching up to something and whatever that is. But transformation is a little bit different because it's a journey, right? You have to understand it's a journey. It's a 2-year journey, 3-year journey, whatever that may be. So it's helping agencies understand you're solving your short term. You have to keep that in mind. You cannot ignore it, because when I have a headache for 2 straight days, I got to take my Advil, right? I got to take my ibuprofen, whatever that is, to solve it. You just cannot ignore it. But at the same time, you have to understand the symptoms and what you really are transforming. My health transformation, personally, I want to feel better for the rest of my life, right? That's kind of the transformational thinking. So what we do is helping the agencies think about, like, how do you leverage the short-term transformation as part of your journey stop to your long-term transformation, right? That's basically what it is. You have an end journey, like you're going from Richmond to New York or wherever that is. So your journey, but how do you make your journey stops? How do you leverage the short term, because you cannot ignore it, but leverage the short term modernization transformation towards your journey of long term transformation. The private partnership for the public sector is super critical to me. It's like, there are a couple things. Number one, my EVP at SAIC tells this all the time. It's a privilege, not a right, being in front of the client, right? Because we need to appreciate the journey, right? How do I appreciate the journey of being in front of a client is I start understanding the mission of that thing. So I have to be vested in the mission of whatever our client is doing. So to me, establishing that, right, like I said, the risk and rewards are both of ours, not just mine, not just, so it's like, I cannot go with a singular interest, right? It has to be a common interest, right? It has to be a common goal. I have to buy into your mission. Like if I'm a mission integrator, I have to buy into the mission of the agency to say, okay, we are in this together, number one, right? And then like when I was on the other side, the key things that helped me was transparency, right? Transparency and kind of empathy, right? It's two big things for me. Like, are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you empathizing what I'm saying, right? It's not like, it's again, as I said, it's a privilege to be in that place because the client is giving their time to talk to you. It's a privilege. We have to understand that. So I think the key piece is to how do you become the partner, right? How do you become the trusted partner? Because for us, the SAIC, what we look at is like, why are the clients coming back to us again and again, right? They could walk out of us and go to somebody else. If they're coming back to us, that means we have done something right over the many years, and understanding their mission. We are integrated with them as one, right? From the mission perspective, right? You are actually buying into their mission, what it is, and that's how you build trust, because transparency, the trust, everything is built out of that common understanding of the mission and risk and rewards. You are in this together.